so wobbly.
Those lightning.
Oh, well.
Falls over, falls over. Okay. Sit however's comfortable. So you know if you're in your chair, you can get your feet hips distance apart and parallel. And if you're on the floor, use however many blankets you want to sit on and stretch your legs out if you'd rather, or sit cross-legged if you're okay to do that. But just be mindful. Let yourself close your eyes gently and start to follow your breath in and out through your nose. Accepting your breaths easily. And see if you can bring your breath into your belly. So feeling your belly expand when you inhale. And if you're comfortable, to bring your breath in a little deeper, inhaling into the belly, into your ribs, all the way up into your chest. On your next exhale, go ahead and release your arms on out beside you. So if you're on the floor, fingertips can lightly touch the ground. And let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our chests. And then we'll reverse, keeping the hands together, inhaling them up through the midline, and on the exhale, opening the arms on back out and down. And inhaling here. And on the exhale, twisting to your right. So I'm going to mirror you today. So coming on around, lengthening up through the back of your neck and feel that sense of your chin about parallel to the floor. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center and all the way into the other direction. So again, finding that twist in the middle of the back. Feeling that length upward through the top of your head. Be aware of feeling your feet in the floor, whatever part of your feet are touching. Maybe just press down a little bit into whatever part of your feet are on the floor. One more inhale. And as you exhale, come on back around into center again. And let's start to move a little bit forward and back with our breath. Let your exhales bring you forward with a nice long back. And your inhales bring you back up. And it doesn't matter how far you go. Letting yourself just easily come forward and back with your breath. And the next time that you come forward, see if you can stay forward. And you can put your hands if you're on the floor if you want to. If you're in your chair and it feels better to separate your feet and come farther forward, you can with your elbows above your knees. Same thing on the floor. If you want to walk farther out, go for it. Let yourself find a relief for your back and your hips where you're comfortable to be. See if you can let your head hang if you're all right to do that, so that you release through the back of the neck and you can feel really easy there with your breath in and out. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly make our way on back up. If you're in your chair, you might want to release your feet again back towards each other. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And now as you exhale, lower your left arm down. Come on over into side stretch here for the right side. So fingertips on the floor. If you're on the ground, you can use your hand however you want for support. In your chair, do what feels comfortable for that bottom arm. Hang, let it hang, or put your hand in your lap. One more breath. And then we'll rise on back up. We're just going to switch arms, bringing that left arm up and coming over into that side stretch here. So again, breathing into the ribs here. Good, and then we'll come on back up, lower the arms on down. And now if you're on the floor cross-legged, you might want to stretch your legs out for a second, and then you're going to switch the cross of your legs. So you bring the other leg in front. So you even your hips out there. So take your time, really get comfortable, and then let your arms come on down beside you again. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on your exhale, let your hands come down to be in front of your chest, in front of your heart. Oh, good, she made it. Clasp your hands here now. Squeeze your palms towards each other. And then let's just press our palms out away from our chest, pressing into the heels of your hands, letting yourself try not to round forward in the shoulders here. It's really almost like you plug your arm bones back into your shoulder sockets a little bit. You can feel your wrists. Good. And then just softly bring your hands back into prayer hands in front of your chest. And we're going to keep the hands together and circle them, right? So you're not going to press hard. You're just going to feel the hands connected as you circle through your wrists here and just feel that nice energy of starting to wake up through the fingers and through your wrists. And we're going to stop and switch directions in the way that we're circling. So when you're ready, just letting yourself go the other way. Take your time. Let yourself just move through. And then come back again to have your chest, hands in front of your chest, right there in the midline. And let's inhale the hands right up through the midline. Keep them together. And then as you exhale, let them come right back down to be in front of your chest again. And now let's inhale the hands over to the right side a bit. And exhale, bring them back to center. And that's your chair, Gail. And inhale them to the left and let them come back into center again. And let's do that again. Inhaling the hands up through the midline. And on the exhale, letting them come back down. Inhaling over to the side. And exhaling back to center. And inhaling to the other side. And exhaling back to center. And then releasing your arms on down. And let's bring our hands behind us. So if you're in your chair, you might have to come away from the back. And clasp your hands together. And then from here, do that same little forward and back motion that we did before, but now with your hands back behind you, it almost feels like you're leading with your chest. So letting yourself exhale as you come forward, inhale when you come back up. So take your time just to really ease your way into this moving with the breath. Let it feel really good. Good. And then we'll finish off. Once you're back upright again, let yourself stay there. And let's cross our right ankle above our left knee. So if you're on the floor, you're going to stretch your left leg out long and take your time. You can be lower. If you're on the floor, you can have your leg down lower. Same thing in your chair. You can always cross your ankle, right? So from here, sit up nice and tall and think of coming forward just a little bit. So you're more than welcome to put your hand on your foot. You can press your hand into your foot and your foot back into your hand a little bit. So you have a creation of energizing up into the hips, engaging up into your hip here. Good. Let your back of the neck be nice and long. Try not to lift your chin up and tense up the back of the neck if you can. Good. And then we'll come on back up to the top. From here, left arm is going to come up overhead, and we're going to bend that elbow. And, you know, everybody's different. You may need to bring your elbow out rather than up. You may have to bring your hand to the top of your head instead of behind. And this is optional, bringing the right arm up and over the top. If you like to just gently hold on to your elbow there, you can. And if you're like, well, yeah, my elbow's not there to hold on to, then don't worry about it, right? Just let yourself release. Don't worry. Just find what you can for a little bit of a tricep release there. Good. One more breath. And then we'll just release. Bring the arms on down. We're going to switch our legs. So take your time. Again, you don't have to cross it. You can cross ankles. You can go below your knee if you're on the ground there with your leg long. But that leg that's long, the right foot, make sure you're kind of flexing your foot and your knee and toe are facing up towards the ceiling. And again, when you come forward, be really mindful. Let yourself maybe it's an inch, right? Maybe you're lucky to be sitting up tall. Just stay there if you need to. If you like to put your hand on your foot, you can push your foot into your hand a little bit and resist a little with your hands so you feel that engagement up into your hip. Good, so one more breath here. And then as you rise on back up, now we're going to bring the right arm up. And again, when you bend that elbow, everybody's different. Just be mindful, let yourself kind of wake up the shoulder, whatever you need to do. Elbow can come forward or out. And again, there's some of you who will want to bring that left arm up and over the top and let yourself just lightly touch the elbow. Keep your gaze forward if you're doing that, no matter what you're doing really, just to keep that length in the spine. Good. And then we're going to unfold everything on down. And we're going to stretch our legs out for a second. So stretch your legs out, move through your feet, your ankles. You can do little wiper blades. You can do little leg bounces if you're on the floor, because we're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So if you know you do not want to be on your knees, do not be on your knees. Use blanket, be up on the seat of the chair. You can, even if you don't have a chair and you don't want to be on your knees, you can put your hands on your thighs, to do cat-cow. Or you can have your hands on the floor, of course. If you feel like you need to come to fists, do that. And just start to flow through your back now. Those cat-cows. Just letting the tailbone lead the way, really. So when you exhale, the tailbone draws up under you, the navel draws towards the spine, you round up into your back. And when you inhale, you send your tailbone back and up and let yourself move through into your cow pose. So you don't have to go real deeply into the poses. You can just let yourself find whatever movement you can there through your spine. But just imagine what your spine looks like when you're doing these, right? Because of the way we're built, pretty amazing that we're able to have this kind of flexibility in our spine. Picture a healthy back, really, and feel the muscles alongside of your spine getting warmed up. Finish off the one you're on, and we'll come back to a more neutral spine here. And we're going to come into our lunges, stepping our left foot forward and our right foot back. So coming into that lunge of choice as far as where your hands are. They can be on blocks, they can be on a chair. Totally up to you how low you want to go with your hands and how long you want to go with your lunge. Just make sure you feel like you're on very narrow railroad tracks so your hips feel good. And that front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. Opening up through the back of that long leg, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. And we are going to switch legs. So however you like to do that, whether you like to step forward or back. And again, how long of a stance you take is up to you. And be mindful of that front knee, not going out beyond your toes, and letting yourself here find that length in the back of your body. Good. And we are going to switch legs again. So again, as that left leg comes forward and the right leg is back, I know a lot of you like to lift up a little bit, either bringing your left hand or forearm up to your thigh. Not necessary to do that, but if it feels good, you can. Otherwise, you can just keep your hands to give you support. And we're going to switch one more time. So again, once you get into that lunge and you're feeling like you want to lift up, you're more than welcome to bring the right hand or forearm up to your thigh. Good. And then from here, we're going to step forward and come into standing forward bend. So this is different for all of us, how our backs feel. So supporting yourself however you need. You can use your chair for your hands or your forearms, or you can bend your knees and put your elbows above your knees to support a long back. If you're fine to go ahead and fold, go right ahead and do that, as long as your back allows you to feel okay to do that. Feel the weight of your head if you can. Let yourself feel really heavy-headed. And if it helps to turn your head a little bit from side to side, you can nod yes a little bit or shake your head no a little bit, and just be mindful of letting your neck release. And just feel the breaths coming in to expand the ribs in all directions when you inhale. Let your face soften and relax all around your eyes and your mouth. One more breath. And then from here, let's bend our knees, press into our feet, bring our hands to our hips and rise up to standing. And release your arms out beside you. Float your arms just a little away from you and turn your palms forward. And from here, as you reach down through your fingertips, get this sense as you come into mountain pose here of feeling very equal, very balanced between the sides of your body and even between the front and the back of your body. Letting yourself just enjoy. It's almost like if you drew a line down the middle of your body and folded yourself in half, like you were a book and you closed it up, that when you opened back up again to where you are, you'd be essentially just totally equal between the sides of your body. And as you exhale, bend your elbows and let your hands now come to meet right in front of your chest. Feel connected very lightly through your fingers here if you can. And the fingers are spread, but you're feeling that connection lightly touching them together. And then we'll unfold the arms right back down beside us again. And we're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale, bend our knees and come forward into our standing forward bend. On your next inhale, find a nice long flat back, wherever you want your hands to help you do that. On your legs, anywhere on your legs, or on your chair or your blocks. And we'll step the right foot back and come into our lunge. Draw your shoulders down, away from your ears. Let yourself enjoy your lunge here, your whole body in the lunge. And then we'll come into a downward facing dog pose. And you know your down dog is your choice, how you come into down dog, whether it's hands on blocks or a chair or the floor. So if your hands are on the floor, you're more like an upside down V. And if you're on blocks or a chair, your heels might or might not be on the ground on the blocks, but let yourself find that long spine. And on your next inhale, come on forward like you're going to do a plank. Doesn't matter if you do a whole plank or not. You can go fully into a plank, a push-up pose. You can bend your elbows and do little push-ups even if you like. Or you can stay in a plank or a half plank or a forearm plank. And then we'll come on back into down dog. Take your time, walk a little bit in your dog, bend a knee at a time, let it feel really good. Good. And then from here, we're going to come on back with the right foot forward to come into lunge. So whatever you need to do to get back into that lunge, right? Knee your knees down or coming up and back into the lunge. And then all the way back into standing forward bend with our feet. Hips distance apart and parallel. Be mindful, coming forward, whatever you need to do. If you like to release and hold your elbows, go for it. Or if you like to let your arms hang. But just be mindful of feeling the breath really easily coming in and going out. Enjoy the weight of your head. Feeling equal through your feet. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, bend our knees, and come on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands up through the midline. And then clasp your hands and bend your elbows and bring your hands right to the back of your head. And press your head gently into your hands, but don't let your hands go backward, right? You're not going to look up. You're still keeping your chin parallel to the floor. And really feel your feet in the floor here. Press down into your feet as you press your head into your hands. And feel how you're engaged in your belly, your low back, and your hips. One more breath here. And then release your hands on down beside you and clasp them behind you this time. Take a nice inhale. And when you exhale, bend your knees and come forward. Now you might just want to come a little ways. right? Sending the hips back, the torso forward. You might want to go parallel to the floor with your body, so you're, have a 90-degree angle at your hips. And some of you might want to keep going and fold more forward over your legs. Whether your arms want to come off your back at all or not is totally up to you and your shoulders. So if it feels okay to let your hands come away from you a little bit, do. And then we'll release our arms on down, and on the next inhale, find that nice long flat back. It's like a tabletop, right? And we're going to step our left foot back and come into lunge here. So press those feet away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat now. Feel how your belly engages. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. And we'll make our way into downward facing dog pose. So be really mindful of your own shoulders. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other a little bit, feeling that sense of coming up into the shoulders, but be comfortable there, and then let yourself come on out towards that plank. And again, it is totally optional whether you come all the way or go to your forearms or put your knees down or stay in plank or do little push-ups, but be really easy, finding that core strength or coming into, the arms and the shoulders. And then we'll come on back again into down dog. And this time we'll bring our left foot forward to come into our lunge. Good. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. And now you might want to use some support, like be up higher maybe on your blocks. You might not, but let's bring our left foot a little more to the midline and cross our right ankle in front of our left ankle. And your toes are still trying to face pretty much forward. And, this gets into the back leg really pretty quickly, all the way up into the outside and up into your outer hip. So you can stay up higher if you're like, oh, well, maybe I do want to go lower, or maybe I don't. So you can just let yourself really take time. It doesn't take long for that left leg to start to go, oh my. Let's take one more breath there. And then we're going to uncross, and we're just going to switch legs. So you might, get that right foot a little more to the midline before you cross the left one over. You can kind of adjust when you get it crossed over. You've got more weight into the back foot, but you still have some weight in your left foot too. But it doesn't take long. Just breathe. Let yourself feel the outside of the leg all the way up into the outer hip. If you need to bend your knees more, do. If you feel okay to come a little straighter, but just be mindful. One more nice, full, deep breath. And then we'll uncross, bring our feet back, hips distance apart and parallel. And we'll bend the knees, bring the hands to the hips, and rise on up to standing, inhaling our arms out and up. And on our exhale, letting our hands come down together in front of our hearts. As we unfold our arms again, we're going to inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat, long back. And we're going to come into down dog from here. You place your hands, make your way back with your feet however you like as far as where your hands are. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out towards that plank. You can add a back bend here or not. Totally up to you. You can stay in your plank. You can come down to the floor and do a sphinx or a cobra, or come through for an up dog. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose again. Walk a little bit in your dog. Let your head turn a little bit too, side to side. And then come on back into your full dog and let your next inhale bring you out to plank again. Again, you can stay in plank. You can come to a back bend if you choose. Not necessary, remember to do those back bends. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Good. We're going to bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. And we're going to step all the way back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And be really mindful as we go along. Sometimes you feel better to go a little farther, right? So that's up to you. If
you want to try letting your arms hang and it doesn't feel good, you can always go back to support. If you like to hold your elbows, you can let yourself have even more of that kind of added traction to your spine. Good. Full deep breaths. Let go through your jaw. And then bring your hands back up to your hips. We're going to press into our feet and come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, as our hands come down, let the top of the head get higher up towards the ceiling. So you're really now have created a lot of space in your spine. Feet equal in the floor. Feeling that alignment of your pelvis where your tailbone is just reaching down towards between your heels. Good. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us. Move around however you want. Shake it off if you need to. Move around, do. I'm going to flip my chair around, so if you're using your chair, you might want to. And we're going to have our blocks handy in case we need them. We're stepping our right foot back for warrior two. So get your heels lined up and bend into that front knee. Find that alignment. And, you know, be mindful of watching that front knee, making sure it's okay there. And if you have your chair and you need it with your left hand, you can hold it because we're going to turn to look back over our right shoulder and bring our back arm up, straight out from the shoulder. So let yourself feel your feet in the floor. Press them away from each other. We're going to start to turn our head back around, over to the left, and rise that left arm up as well. Reaching out through the fingertips. Let's flex our hands for a second. Bend your elbows just a little bit. And then press out into the heels of the hands as much as you can. Feel the undersides of your arms. And then go ahead and let the hands come back, palms facing down. Really reach out through the fingertips. Soften the shoulders down. We're going to turn the left palm up. And inhale, reach upward towards the ceiling or even a little bit back behind yourself. Breathe a nice full breath into the left ribs. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle, where you either put your left hand or forearm onto your chair or your thigh. And you can add the right arm up, or you can keep your right hand right down on your hip. Finding length through both sides of the body here. Really just enjoy lengthening all the way through from that right sitting bone down to your right heel. And we're going to come on back to warrior two from here. Pressing those feet away from each other. Feel both fingertips, set of fingertips reaching out. And we're going to bring the arms down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel, and we're going to make our way into a wide-legged forward bend. So I know a lot of you will want to grab your blocks. You can bring your hands down to blocks any height or to the floor if you want. And then bend your right knee. If you can, stay here for a breath. Really give the left inner thigh time to stretch out a little bit. And then come back and go to the other side. So you bend the left knee, but stay there. Feel that right inner thigh. Try not to roll to the inside of your right foot. Try to imagine your right arch is lifting up away from the floor. And then come back to center. Bend both of your knees for a second. And let yourself find a nice, long, flat back. So you might come up on blocks or you might have your hands on the floor, but lengthen out your spine. Good. And then let's walk our hands over towards the right or shift our blocks over towards the right. Let yourself stay there for a breath. And then walk back through center and go to the left. So again, you can walk your hands on the floor. You can have your hands on the blocks. You can hold on all the way to the outside of the ankle if you want to over there. And then come on back into center again. And now set up to where you can stay in this pose to be comfortable. You know, whether it's using blocks underneath your hands or forearms, or maybe you like to bend your knees and put your elbows above your knees and keep a long back. Or some of you I know want to fold all the way, letting the head hang and coming crown of the head towards the ground, letting your hands be where it's comfortable. And then just release into your breath. Really watch your breath now. Like there's nothing more important than feeling your breath
coming in and going out. Easy, full, deep breaths. Good. So one more breath. And now when you start to rise up, be mindful. Use your hands if you need to help you. And if you're dizzy, keep your feet apart. Bring those feet on together. And move on through your feet and your ankles, however you need to. Take your time. We're going to set up for the other side. So the left foot's going to step back and get those heels into a line. Bend into that front knee. Let yourself be easy about making sure that knee is lined up. And then again, you can keep your hand on your chair if you need to for support. We're going to look back over our left shoulder, float that arm up, and now you can look right out over that hand. And it's really easy when you start to bring your head back around to allow that arm to drop down. Try to keep it so that when you rise the right arm up, you're equal there. You've got this long line from fingertip to fingertip. Pressing the feet gently away from each other, feeling that nice sense of opening across your chest and your upper back. And then we'll turn the right palm up. Left hand can just give you a little support back there. And inhale, breathing into the right side here. And on your next exhale, come into your side angle. So again, it can be your hand on your chair. It can be your hand on your thigh as you lean your torso out over that front leg. And you can add your left arm up, or you can keep the hand down on your hip. And if your shoulder wants your arm to do something, but it doesn't want to come right up close to your head, you can just bring the arm straight up from your shoulder if you want. So if you want to have some kind of movement in the shoulder, but it's not doing what you'd like it to do, just do what you can. And then we'll come on back into Warrior Two. Press those feet away from each other, getting right back into your Warrior Two. That strength and the focus over the top of your hand. And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet again, more parallel, and grab your blocks if you need them as you come on forward. And take your time. Once you get your hands down, if you want to bend a knee at a time, kind of move around a little bit, let your body adjust the way it wants. Be mindful. You may decide after you move a little bit that you want your stance to get more or less wide. So feel free to do that. And then, once you got your feet kind of set, bring yourself into that long back again. Then your knees can be bent or straight, doesn't matter. And you might want to have hands on the blocks. You might want to be on the floor. That's up to you. We're going to add a twist. We're going to bring our right hand on up to our right hip. And then draw that right shoulder up and put your palm down onto your low back there if you can. So you're lengthened out through the top of your head. The twist is in the middle of your back. And if you feel like you can, press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. So you're really engaged there. And then we'll bring that right hand down, and we're just going to switch to bring the left hand up, and we're going to draw that shoulder up. And again, press the feet away from each other if you can. Well, it doesn't matter whether your knees are bent or straight. That really brings it up into the legs, into the hips, deeper. Good, and then we're going to come on back down with the hand. And again, take your time, set up. Maybe you want to use a block for forearms or 2 blocks stacked up, or sometimes it feels good to put your head on a block or 2. If that feels good, you can play with that a little bit, or you can obviously keep yourself supported, elbows above your knees, whatever you need to do to feel as released as you can. And just watch your breath again. Nothing more important right now than just watching your breath in and out. And see if you can follow the breaths all the way, right? From the time you begin your inhale to the time you end it, and then the same thing with your exhale. And see if you can let the inhales and exhales get a little more even in length, right? So just letting the breaths even out. One more nice full deep breath. Now Now to rise up, you know you want to take your time if you need to adjust your feet before you come up. And if you're dizzy, because you were there a while, be mindful. So walk around a little bit, move through your feet and your ankles, do what feels good. And then I'm going to keep my chair turned this way, and we're going to come into Warrior One this time. You might want to bring your blocks around in case you need them, but I like to hold on to the chair. I know I don't have a lot of people who think chairs are that great, but I keep saying one day I'm going to make everybody get a chair. And let yourself just bend into that front knee for Warrior One and feel that back foot on the floor, right? So if you're in your chair, you're kind of leaned forward already. If you don't have a chair there, think about bringing yourself like this, forward with your torso for a second. And it's kind of intense in this front leg, right? You're leaning forward with a long diagonal line down your body. You can always use your chair if you have it there. And then from there, we're going to just rise up into that Warrior One, getting our shoulders over our hips. Feel the belly engaging. And then we'll inhale the hands right up through the midline. And let them open, just maybe over your shoulders, maybe wider. That depends on how your shoulders feel. Let the pinkies turn a little bit towards each other. See if you can bring your gaze up. And feel energy all the way out through the tips of your fingers. And when the pinkies are turned towards each other, you can feel that your arms almost feel like they're growing out of your back, right? So your shoulders aren't lifting up and tensing up. One more breath. And we're going to lower our arms down. We're going to bring our hands behind us and clasp them. And you're welcome to just fold the head down. Bow your head forward. That might be enough. Some of you might want to fold over this front leg, right? You can. If you like, you can come farther over than that, right? If it feels good to you. One more breath. And then we're going to release our hands down and we're going to find lunge. So you might want to use your blocks. You might want to be using your chair. Might want to adjust your lunge a little bit longer depending on you because we're going to add a twist. We'll bring our left hand to our left hip and roll the shoulder up. And you can stay with your hand right there on your low back. Or you can stretch the arm up if you want. If your shoulders feel good to do that. Otherwise, keeping your hand down, if the palm down is too much, you can even keep your hand on your hip, right? There's a twist in the middle of your back here. One more breath. And then bring your hand on back down. And we're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, come into a little chair pose, not low. So it's like there's a chair behind you. You're sitting back with your hips and a little forward with your torso. And what you would want to make sure that you're not doing is this, tucking your tailbone up under you and rounding forward. It's like your sit bones reach back behind you and so does your tailbone on a diagonal line. And then press into your feet, rise on up. Have a breath here in mountain pose. And then we're going to unfold our arms on down beside us and shake out a little bit. Walk around. We're going to do the other side. So again, I love the chair. I don't have to have the chair. But to step back into Warrior One, get that back foot. Remember, you can widen your stance. You can have like you're on narrow railroad tracks in your Warrior One here. Or you can have your feet more kind of in line with your heels. It depends on how your hips feel. It's also a balance thing, right? So again, if you have your chair here, it's a lot easier. As you lean forward, you can take some weight into your hands, right? If you don't have a chair there, hands to the heart, you're leaning forward. You're really feeling this front leg, right? Try to feel equal between your feet. And then when you rise up with the shoulders over the hips, coming up to Warrior One, starts to feel kind of easy. Let yourself enjoy. Inhale the hands up. And then again, separate them as much as feels good for you. Let yourself bring your gaze up a little bit if possible. So there's this lift. Remember, your arms can stay forward. They can be wider. They can be over your shoulders. So if you turn the pinkies towards each other, your shoulders kind of melt down away from your ears. One more breath. And we're gonna bring our gaze forward, bring our arms down, and bring our hands behind us. Again, you might just wanna bow your head. You know, when you just bow your head, your core body fires up, right? And of course, if you wanna fold over that front leg farther, you can. Letting yourself release wherever you wanna be. And we're gonna let our hands come down to find that lunge, remember. So you may want your hands on the chair, you may want them on blocks. Let that heel release directly behind your foot to find your lunge, because we're gonna add the twist. We're gonna bring our right hand to our right hip and roll that shoulder up. And again, this is all up to you, right? Where you put your hand, whether you're able to draw the shoulder up or bring the arm up, that's up to you. So one more breath. And then we'll go ahead and bring our hand back down. We're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath our hips. And bend your knees, press into your feet. We're going to rise all the way on up. Inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. And now unfold your arms out into a T position and let yourself reach out. Feel this long line, right? So if you started at your right fingertips and went all the way across your chest and out through your left fingertips. And then let's bring our right arm on top of our left. Give ourselves a hug. Let your shoulders melt down. You can go towards eagle wrap or you can stay hugging. That's up to how your shoulders feel. You can also do the half wrap, sliding the back of the left hand to the outside of the right elbow. So just be mindful and make sure you're not locking your knees. I mean, you can bend the knees a little bit, just press down into your feet a little bit. Good. We're going to unfold the arms back into that T position again so you feel that long line. And we're going to bring the left arm on top of the right. And again, you can stay right there. Let yourself release between the shoulder blades. If sliding into the half wrap, the back of the right hand to the outside of the left elbow feels good, you can. Or you can go into the backs of the hands towards each other. Really, just be mindful of your own shoulders. Hugging is great. Again, bend the knees a little bit. Press down into the feet a little bit. And then we'll unwind those arms. Come back to that T position one more time. And then lower your arms on down beside you and let them swing a little bit forward and back. And then separate your feet and let them swing a little bit side to side. And you know, this is all up to you and your knees. If you could let your hips kind of swivel around and then let the back foot kind of follow you around, right? So these are a different kind of a twist. They're really easy. They let the shoulders release, but they also let yourself come into easy, gentle twist with the back. And we're going to come on back into center. And we're either going to need the back of the seat of the chair facing us, or both our blocks to the highest height underneath our hands, right? So once you get your hands down, right, kind of just get your feet underneath you, and then once you feel like, all right, I'm going to bring my feet almost touching, right? So you're bringing your feet more underneath you, closer. Bend both your knees, lift your right foot off the floor, send it back, and when the toes are pointing down, there you are in Warrior 3. We're going to try to open away from the floor with the toes a little bit into half moon. So when you do that, like, do it a couple of times. Point the toes down, and then shift more weight to your left hand and let the toes open away from the floor. And then, you can just stay right there. If any of you want to think about bringing your right hand up off your block or your chair, you can. Half moon is a hard pose. Opens the hips, lengthens the spine. Come on back down with the toes and then back down with your foot. Bend both your knees a little bit. Let your hips and your back release. And then we're going to go the other side. So now the right foot is the supporting leg. You're going to bend the left foot, knee, and pick the foot up. Stretch back to that long leg. When the toes are down, there you are in Warrior 3. Now, if you just think of opening your toes away from the floor a little bit, you kind of stack your left hip on top of your right one. There's the difference between half moon and warrior three. So you can do that a couple of times, enjoying like that rotation in your hip. All right, and then, you know, if you know that half moon's not good for you, stay in your warrior three. If you feel like you want to just bring a little more weight into that right hand and off of your left hand, you can. One more breath. And then when we turn back, put the foot on the floor, we're going to separate our feet towards the outer edges of our mats. Bring our elbows above our knees if we can. Bend your knees pretty deeply. You can squat down if you want. If you're fine to squat all the way down, go right ahead. Go for it, you know. But it feels really good in your low back and your hips and your knees, everything else, right? Good. One more breath. And we're going to slowly bring ourselves on up. And we're going to come down onto our bellies on the floor. So if you got your chair there, you're going to need to move it off to the side. And we're going to lie down and make a little pillow with our hands. Rest our head on our hands. And let ourselves bend our knees. And then let your feet move around however it feels good. Like circling your feet around or letting your lower legs move around back there. So it feels good. It's releasing. Good. And then come on back to stretching your legs down long underneath you. And let's lift our head just a little bit off our hands. All right. And then slide your hands back by your upper chest. Hug your elbows in a little bit towards your ribs. That is a cobra pose right there. So you don't have to push into your hands and be up high to be in a cobra. This actually engages your back more than if you come up and push into your hands and bring yourself into a full cobra, right? So there's benefits to all of this. You can decide you're going to stay low. You can try to press up a little bit. You know if it doesn't feel good, you just come back down. One more breath. And then we're going to come down. And we're going to roll onto our left side. So if you can stretch your arm out overhead and lie on your left arm, do. I know not everybody can do that. So if your shoulder is telling you don't do that, you can adjust however you want. You can like put a block underneath your head and draw your left arm down more, right? So you're not putting that into your shoulder. Or you can bend the elbow if that feels better. Whatever works. From here, pretend like you're standing and you're going to do a tree pose. And bring your right foot up into the inside of your left leg somewhere. So you might be putting it on your calf. You might be putting it higher up onto the inside of your thigh. And then you can decide, okay, is there any way I can stretch my right arm overhead or bring the hand off the floor and put it on my hip, right? To do that, if you press into the outside edge of your left foot a little bit, it might help. Because if you push into the outside of the pinky toe mound there, it activates the core of the body. Good. Now if you want a little more, you don't have to do this part, but you can let your right hand reach down and draw your right knee up towards your shoulder. You don't have to do that. If it feels just really good in your hip, you can let that happen. And of course, some of you might want to extend the leg up longer, rotating the heel forward so that you're finding that outward hip rotation. You know, we just did all this moving around in the hip for half moon, so take your time. One more breath. And then if the leg was up, go ahead and bend it, bring it down. Stretch your legs long again underneath you, like you're standing in mountain pose. And then we're going to roll back to our bellies, and we're going to come onto our forearms and come into a Sphinx pose here. So you know, if you need to be down lower, just slide your elbows down more towards your waist. You're still kind of supporting yourself here.
And of course, if you're fully with your elbows under your shoulders, you're definitely supporting yourself. But let that bring a sense of relief to your low back and your hips. Good. Well, one more breath here. And then we're going to come on back down. We're going to roll to the other side. So now you're on your right side. Again, you have to adjust this shoulder. So if you need to, like, do something different, put your block under your head, bring the arm forward instead of overhead, do it. And now, again, get your feet under you. We're going to do like a tree pose on our side. We're going to bring that left foot in to where it's on the inside of either your calf or up above, higher if you want. Think about if you can bring that left hand off the floor, how you need to press into the outer edge of your right pinky toe. And that'll fire up your core. And then you're using your core here. You know, you can stretch the left arm up if you want. You can keep the hand on the hip or you can keep the hand on the floor, obviously. And the next part of it is totally up to you. Staying here is good. Letting your left hand draw your left knee in towards your shoulder a little bit is good. And then, of course, if you like to extend that leg up long, and I mean, you don't have to press into the outside edge of that pinky toe there. Good. And we're going to roll to our belly again. This time, as we come to our forearms, we're going to lift up into that half forearm plank. So clasp your hands, send your pinky finger out, press down into your forearms and into the outer edges of your hands, and pull yourself towards the front of the mat. Really try to pull yourself. You're up high then above the flesh, above the knees there. Keep the feet flexed. If you want to reach into a full forearm plank, go right ahead, put your feet down, lift your knees up. So that's up to you. Let yourself breathe. Feel what's happening. Feel how your belly is engaged. You're really reaching your sitting bones down towards the backs of your knees or towards your heels if you're in the full. One more breath. And then we're going to come down. Now, if you can, stretch your arms towards the front corners of your mat. Let your forehead rest for a second on the ground if possible. And then spread your fingers wide, but lift your palms up and come onto the tips of your fingers and the tips of your thumbs. Right? And then from there, see if you can just float your head up a little bit. So it shouldn't be too stressful. Now bend your elbows. Bring your hands back a little bit towards the corners of your mat or towards your shoulders. And then lift your legs and your chest up a little bit. So you're in a locust pose here. It's a little more when you lift the legs up, I know. And if you want to float your hands up, it's even more. Totally up to you. It's the back body, strengthening the back body. And then we're going to come on back down, and we're going to shift back towards pose of a child. So as you come back towards child's pose, how low you go with your hips, totally up to you. You can bring the big toes together and the knees apart as much as you want and keep your hips up in the air. And let yourself even kind of put your head down on your hands and let your chest melt down a little bit. And if you're comfortable for your hips to shift back, your knees are fine with that, and your hips, you can. You're on the tops of your feet. And I know sometimes feet cramp in this, so be mindful if you start to get a foot cramp. It's not that unusual. It's just very uncomfortable, so just come out of it if you need to. Just breathe into your low back. Imagine the low back rising and expanding as you inhale. Good. Nice, full, deep, even breaths again. And enjoy it. It's almost like you're breathing into your pelvis and it just expands. And we are going to let our hands come back to help us on up to sitting. And then let your legs come on around in front of you. Now,
Before you do anything, get your blocks handy. Have them right here beside you. And then just stretch your legs on out in front of you for a second. Move through your feet and your ankles. Just let it feel good. And then let your blocks come in really close to you for a second. And not everybody will want to do this one, so don't do it if it doesn't feel good, right? You can just sit right here with your hands on your blocks and lengthen up through the top of the head and be happy, right? Or if you want, you can let yourself press into your hands and lift yourself up just a little bit off the floor. And then come back down. And not everybody's wrists or shoulders want to do that, so don't do it. Otherwise, just sit right here and sit up tall and just let your hands rest gently. But if you like, you can push in and lift up a little bit. And then we'll come back down. And we're going to take a little twist here. Inhale. And as you exhale, twist to your right. Bring yourself on around. Let the toes and the knees face up towards the ceiling. If you need to bend your knees a little bit, do. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center and go all the way into the other direction. So as your knees are bending, try to make sure they're equally bent, right? One more inhale. And then as you exhale, make your way on back around. Good, shake out a little bit. We're going to try this, and if you know you've tried lying back on blocks before and you absolutely hate it, don't bother. But if you've never tried it, give it a try. Or if you know you like it, then you're in heaven because it's great. So the bottom block, I'm going to lie back on these. So I'm doing sideways so you can see what I'm doing. The bottom block is to its lowest height. And then when you lay back, you've got this block for under your head. Now, you may want this block higher. It might feel better to be there. So your head is up above your chest and you're supported there, but you can release. Now, this block can be like right at the base of your shoulder blades, so the tips of your shoulder blades kind of hook it. Or it can be up a little bit higher, but you don't want it up into your cervical vertebrae, right? It's down. Middle of the back. And then you decide. Maybe it feels better to put your block low and let your head come back, right? And some of you may want to keep your knees bent. Or you may feel like, oh, I want to let my legs come long and then just relax, right? The other thing you might want to do is bring the soles of your feet towards each other and come into your Badakhanasana, which brings even more release into the lower part of your back. But it's not for everybody, right? So, since with COVID I can't really walk around and do stuff, kind of adjust to where you're like not miserable. And if you are, don't even do it. Just lie on your back and relax, right? You gotta get that bottom block to the place where you feel like you can release and you can feel your chest opening. Larry, get your bottom block higher up, like under your shoulder blades. So, if you're like going, this is so not good, don't do it. I can't really see everybody. I'm going to just take a peek around. Remember, I have my mask on, so. Yeah, is anybody like going, this is the worst thing I've ever done?
No.
Feels good, doesn't it? And if you can bring your arms out beside you and let your palms face up so that you feel like you can just like open across your chest, dude.
It's lovely.
Yeah, it's heaven. So this is a great way to experience a 3-part breath in this pose. So breathing into the belly, then into the ribs, then up into your chest, and then you can really feel it when it comes out of the chest first, and then the ribs, and then the belly. Just for another few seconds. part about it, actually, is coming out of it. So what you want to do when you do come out of it, and you might want to roll to your side and just kind of get up a little bit, enough to get your blocks off of your mat. And then you're going to come right back down onto your back on the floor. Go ahead and bend your knees. And then just lie there for a few breaths and see how you're feeling, right? Really opens both the back and the front of the body. Just let yourself enjoy the ground. And then let your right knee come in towards your chest, and let's extend the left leg down long on the floor. Take your time. Let yourself just flex through both feet. Feel that right leg gently coming into your hands. And then with your left hand, let yourself draw the knee across the midline a little bit. It doesn't have to go far. Right hand can just go out, arm onto the floor beside you. You can keep going into a deeper twist, or you can just barely let the knee come over. Depends on you. And then we'll bring the knee on back into center. And we're going to bring the left knee in now. And bring that right foot down and extending again into that long leg. And again, let your spine align itself. If you can feel the left leg just gently coming into your hands. So it's like you're kind of pulling the knee away from you, and that aligns the back. The natural curves come back into the spine. And then release your left arm out beside you and use your right hand just to draw the knee over, maybe just 2 or 3 inches over towards the right, or maybe you like to go deeper and deeper, bringing the knee across more. That's totally up to you. And then when you're ready, bringing that knee on back, and then letting both knees come on in. And you can do whatever feels good right now. You can let your knees just go side to side. You can make circles with your knees if that feels really good. If you feel better to do something else, by all means do it. If you feel like you want to stretch your legs up, if you need another kind of a twist, if there's any other movement, it doesn't have to be a yoga pose. I mean, it can be any way that your body needs to move right now. So take your time. I'm just going to start to get the lights. And then I will come around and be happy to bring support. If something sounds like a good idea for you, I can bring bolsters for underneath knees. I can bring blankets for whatever you need them for under your head or for cover. So don't give up on me. Around. If you feel like a bolster sounds good, just a little sign would be good. Like good? Mm-hmm. You can lift a finger up, wave at me a little bit. Let yourself get comfortable. You know, and there's no right or wrong place in Shavasana to put your hands. So, you know, out alongside you with the palms up is traditional, but some people like to put their hands on their bellies. Some people like arms closer in, some farther away. So whatever feels like you can release all the way up into your shoulders. As you accept your breaths now, in and out. Watch your breath easily. You're not trying to control your breath. You're just accepting your breaths. If the breath needs to become a little deeper, let it. When your thoughts go off into thinking, just bring yourself back again and again to your breath. Whatever helps you do that. And just give your body and your brain these few minutes. Letting yourself benefit in whatever way you need, just by kind of getting out of your own way. Finding those quiet places. And allow yourself to completely and fully relax. yourself to feel your breath coming in and going out more fully, more deeply again. Appreciate those deeper breaths starting to re-energize you. So just gradually letting yourself, when you're ready to move, starting with fingers, toes if you can, and moving up into your hands, your feet, your arms, your legs. And let your body come back to moving how it naturally wants to. You know, you may want to let your knees come in, you may want to stretch everything long, and you may want to roll to either your right or your left side and into a soft fetal position. If you do, you can always stay there for a little bit to give your body and your brain time to adjust.